Hello world, my name is Atticus and welcome back to the break room. Today, we continue our adventures in Dark Souls Daughters of Ash. As you can see, we've made it back to our souls. It was a much easier journey. I think we've gotten a fair bit better at it. Look at all those delicious souls. Now in the theme, I suppose, of these weekend videos, we've hit another degree of technical issues. While in the first two Unsung Story, we lost the game visuals and then audio, today we've lost the voiceover.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time. Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you. I have a proposition, if you have a moment. The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? It pleases you greatly. Well then, take this. We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind.
Good old Solaire.
Oh, hello there. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
He is so grossly incandescent. But yes, today we've lost the voiceover, which means I'm speaking to you from the future. That is a mean dragon. So much quicker on the draw, breathes so much more fire. And alas, the door does not open. It is unfortunate, but we've lost our souls on the bridge once more. However, I've gone ahead and cut out the return trips as I feel I've gotten decently good at traversing it. Yes, the watchtower key. Key to the lowest door of the watchtower. I did not give myself enough time to read that. Oh well, I remember surmising at the end of that it was Havel's Tower. It's where we went up to fight the Taurus demon. We must instead go down. Which is a fun bit of playing with the world design of Dark Souls. There is the initial critical path and the many various branches that you can take instead, all kind of looping back around to Firelink Shrine. But here, after breaking the Master Key, they've seemed to have limited the critical path. I don't think it is as linear as I might be making it out to be. I haven't explored any of New Londo, for instance. And even in the area we're about to come up to, I I have 3 different ways at least I could go. Ah yes, I'm at the bottom of the tower. It is not a hostile, very powerful NPC, but this merchant we could not find in the lower
You seem to have your
undead
wits
parish.
about you, Then you are
Parish
a regular
outskirts?
customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
Sorry about that. Did not realize he was speaking. I tried to listen to this as I record, but then I hear myself, and that's simply not acceptable. See, I remember perusing his wares, hoping to find a key, and I don't find anything. And so I don't buy anything.
Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below. And up above, there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave. Ah, this one. Ain't she lovely? Her name is Yulia. She's plumb in love with me. You'd never leave my side now, would you, Yulia? Oh, you can forget it. I'm all that she needs. Careful! She'll bite your little fingers off. Be kind, Yulia, be kind. Now, don't squander your time chatting. You need to look over my wares. What a waste of time. Go and fall off a cliff.
We exhaust his dialogue, and he's very rude to us. I'm pretty sure that half a barrel is Yulia. But we step out and find ourselves in Dragon's Ravine, the old wilderness. It's a rad name for this area, honestly. It is incredibly reminiscent of the Valley of Drakes, and I've not gone there yet, but I'm excited to see what it's called. I peek through the trees, spot the Hydra off in the distance, and ultimately decide not to go that way. Spot the stone guardians that usually appear in a separate part of this forested area. But they've migrated out here, and that's not a terrible issue. I grab this shiny and see what kind of a match they are. And oh boy. Look at all that damage. Look at how little damage I've done to it. I don't think this is the path. Hydras to one side, stone guardians littered all about. It doesn't look like a great place to be. Oh, and that one is still chasing me. Back up to the relative safety of the tower, hoping that it could provide some sort of haven. Apparently it is indeed beyond the knight's aggro range. We head back, and I decide at this point, I believe, to go and try and see Andre. I don't know if he's at the same spot, but it's as good a place as any to check. I see that shiny and determine it's almost certainly a trap. Onwards and upwards, I run past everything. I don't know yet if this is where I'm supposed to be, or if I trespass in a land I don't belong. There is something comforting in Daughters of Ash when places are as you expect them to be. This fog gate implies this is not one of those places. I consider going back, but no. I consider again. Ultimately, I decide to test the waters. Gripping my lifeline back home, I finally traverse the white light. And I'm greeted with a familiar face, or lack thereof, in All-Father's Parish. This Titanite demon is always here, though usually not accompanied with fog gates. No boss health bar has popped up, and he's not aggroed quite yet. So I wonder, perhaps, is it a psych out? Can I leave this place? I cannot. It is indeed a boss fight, though perhaps lacking a health bar given the creature's former status as a standard monster. Not willing to risk it with this many souls, however, I return home. I consider my options for leveling up, where I want this build to go, what I want to prioritize. I guess I don't do it immediately. Right, I go to check to see if there's any items, or weapons rather, that I want to wield, but which I cannot, due to my low strength. There's the Morning Star, but I don't particularly intend to use that weapon. I test the waters with this setup, but it just doesn't feel quite like what I'm going for. I am intending for dexterity and intelligence, a flip wizard, if you will. I simply don't know if I truly want to drop that many points into strength. However, maybe I'll find a weapon in the near future that needs strength. I don't want to be wanting for levels when that time comes. Yet, ultimately, I choose not to put all those points into strength, and that will be important later. I hover on the accept button, and oh, if only I had pressed it. I consider the original setup. A decent boost to strength, mostly, however, to dexterity and intelligence. And then I remember that the endurance is a thing that needs to get boosted. I finally remember to grab Soul Arrow, and we are back to the Undead Merchant. I spent a considerable time looking up to see if he paid or had a bit more of a role in this version, because usually I just buy the key and then, well, kill him. for the Uchigatana. Something I repeat here, only to learn. It requires 14 strength. Distraught by my lack of foresight, but looking forward to the stronger weapon with bleed, I eventually press on. There it is. Do I consider some more? I really did only cut out the parts where I traversed the parish outskirts. But with the matter of the undead merchant taken care of, I believe, and all the souls spent, it's time to get a bit risky. I decide to grab that item, knowing that I could easily get my souls back were I to get pushed off the edge here, which doesn't happen to my surprise. And then it's back up the cliff wall for a first match against the Titanite demon. We sprint past the enemies knowing that they will not be able to catch up to us. And this trek is a fair bit longer than I remember it being. I wonder how much of it I narrated originally. I kind of black out for these things. With vim and vigor, we return to the boss arena. All Fathers Parish, the city of the undead. Find that this is no longer a Titanite demon, but a haunting semblance. An interesting name. Daughters of Ash seems to be more focused on what happened in Izalith, I think, given the name and what I know of the original. And then this happens. This is the moment that I knew I had to beat this version of the game, because what in the world just happened? I attacked the haunting semblance a few more times, wondering, perhaps, does it still have a health bar? Can I take it out without having to deal with that spectral cloud of darkness? Eventually, I presume I cannot. I just love how it's sitting in the stairs. I don't know if that's like intentional or because the Titanite demon's not supposed to be there, but it's just so spooky. The profane image is weak to magic, and I have a glimmer of hope that I'll be able to beat this first try, and then the haunting semblance reanimates. The profane image is back, and so is all of its... I messed that up. The profane semblance is... I need to stop reading while I'm doing this. The profane image is gone. The haunting semblance is back with all of its health. I begin to chip away once more. I imagine what we're supposed to do is get the haunting semblance back down to half health to force the profane image out so we can deal its final blow. However, it gets me with the combo. Now that I've had a bit of time to think about it, the names are really interesting to me. The haunting semblance is just that, a semblance of something else. I don't think the haunting semblance on its own is alive. I imagine it's more a statue possessed by the profane image. What makes it profane, however? What is so haunting about the statue? I don't know the answers to these questions. Not at the time of this playthrough, nor at the time of this recording. But I will find them. This mod has successfully hooked me. Before it was just meaner Dark Souls, and now there's something more, something deeper. I make the run back up to what was previously the Darkroot Garden. I believe this time I hang a right. The hope is that there was a bonfire concealed here once, and perhaps there will be once more. Stop to grab this item. And then finish my trek. I roll in because style points, and immediately get clobbered. As the game reminds me that it is still mean Dark Souls. That door, I know I moved by it very quickly. I was being pursued by a crystal golem and a weird tree thing. But I believe it said something about the Knight's Gwyn. In the Moonlight Grove, I check to see if I'm being followed first, and then go through this tree. Cut it down with my sword, which is ineffective, but does eventually get the job done. I show off to the tree my mobility while it wiggles its roots. And soon I am victorious. Not sure what these enemies are. They're in the original game around this area, and the physics still hates them. I guess they're like they seem like a poison frog type deal, but big. I spot another living tree and declare war against the Lorax. Several confusingly cautious blows later, and I once again emerge victorious. This time, however, I'm rewarded with a bonfire, the first I've found out in the wild, and it is a welcoming sight. No longer do I have to make the long trek through the parish outskirts, down the tower, through the cliff face. I can now press my adventure onwards straight from the frontier. I explore this area a little, get caught on a tree apparently, and run up this way. There used to be a nice ring. Now there is a crystal lizard. A crystal lizard and a golem. It distracts me long enough for the lizard to make its escape, and the area is just narrow enough that I don't quite trust myself to make it past. Over a well-placed roll, and I am past the golem with no real way to get back. I pick up the Zweihander, a good item, but not for my build. Luckily, I am able to just sprint past the golem and continue unimpeded. There is a comfort when this version of the game acts as the original. And this ambush is straight from the OG Dark Souls, and it's surprisingly comforting. You get attacked by these 4 strange creatures whose names in physics I do not know nor understand. I find another strength-based weapon. And over here, I don't believe there was anything. Now with this homestead thoroughly scouted out and relieved of any and all useful items, I pop some humanities. Enjoy a brief stint as human. I notice that my health does finally reach max. So that's what it was. A note from the previous and next games, where your health is capped for some reason. It certainly makes the game more difficult, but not in like a good way. Like, the games are already difficult enough. Don't take my health. There's interesting lore behind why they do it in Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2, but it just seems needlessly punishing. You can have your full health in Demon Souls, but if you die, the world gets more difficult. Grab a Twinkling Titanite, which is a nice find, and sprint through this forest of invisible golems. Oh, I could have summoned help there. That's good to know for later. I bet it's the same NPC that helps you initially. Maybe, maybe not. Because unfortunately, this fight isn't quite the same. There's a walking bastion, in addition to the Moonlight Butterfly. Look at this narrow bridge. How am I supposed to deal with that thing? Especially while there's a butterfly spitting magic at me. I somehow survived. I don't know how that happened. But I deal pitiful amounts of damage to the walking bastion. Perhaps magic would be better against the walking bastion and physical attacks to combat the butterfly. I simply do not think I'm at a level where I can handle both of them at the same time. Now, maybe with the NPC, it might be a little different. But I do decide that that fight is not something to worry about at this moment. It's not blocking an area off. It might be blocking off an important item. But as far as progression is concerned, it's probably not where we need to go. So once more, we sprint back to the All-Father's Parish to combat the haunted semblance and the profane image. It's a shorter run, and one that will be much less tedious in the attempts to come. Oh, spoiler. I didn't beat it in this episode. Sorry about that. But a quick little jaunt from one end of the forest to the other. Once more, we are locked in combat. However, I'm a bit more off my game this time. I am quickly dispatched. It is at this point, I believe, that I decide to call it an episode. Apparently I was generous enough to give myself a full minute here to say my goodbyes. Well, I have been Atticus. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time when we definitely conquer the haunting semblance and its profane image.